Damian, it's the one and only Off the Bottoms coming through with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Amazon exclusive Marvel Legends 3-pack of Psylocke, Fantomex, and Nimrod. Now, for the most part, these two figures I didn't care too much about getting. Psylocke I don't mind. I know a little bit about her from the X-Men series and things of that nature. Fantomex, I have no idea. I have no clue about anything regarding that guy. But I wanted this set for Nimrod. But now that I'm looking at it, Psylocke doesn't look that bad. It's definitely not the color outfit that I'm used to seeing her in. Remember, I'm a 90s X-Men guy. So she had the purple outfit and everything before, but it's not too bad. But for the packaging on these guys, as you can see, you got a really nice open window that fully showcases everything. You got the nice X-Men logo. The top section here has X-Men. What I really liked on this in terms of the packaging is the art here on the side is very realistic looking. Granted, her outfit is not the same color as that. I mean, that's black, obviously. That has that bluish purple look. But I like how kind of realistic she looks. Same thing here with Fantomex. Definitely a very real look to them. Come around the back and you can see all those images in a more up-close, detailed look. Except for Nimrod, who still kind of looks like a cartoon or comic character. Overall, though, really nice packaging on this. I'm really very impressed. But for the packaging on these guys, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get them out here and see how cool they actually are. All right, guys, so here we have Psylocke, Nimrod, and Fantomex open up and out of their packaging. Now, starting off with Fantomex because he's the one that I know the absolute least about. Overall, looks-wise, he has a really cool look. As you can see, mostly in this like white and black sort of thing. I talked about him on one of my live shows, and people basically said he's like a Canadian version of Deadpool. I don't know if that's entirely accurate. He definitely kind of has that sort of look. Obviously, he's got this jacket, though, on him, which Deadpool usually doesn't have, but I can get that. With his accessories, he comes with some pretty decent ones. He's got a couple of guns here. They're identical, but they're just molded in this gray plastic. They're cool looking. The best part, I think, and again, I don't know anything about this character, so I'm just basing everything on what I'm essentially seeing here for the toys. He comes with a couple accessories. You got little tiny bullet effects, which are amazing. I think that's great. You can actually plug those in to his gun, which give a little blast effect, which that's pretty cool. But what's neat is when that's not in there, you also get these little smoke effects, which that's pretty cool as well. If I can get it in there. There we go. So when the bullet is done being shot, it's got that little clear smoke sort of thing. That's pretty darn cool if you ask me. Both of the guns come with those pieces, so you got extra smoke effects and blast effects with both of them here, so you can use that in both of his guns, and he holds them fairly decently. One thing that I'll say is that I wish he came with extra hands, because both of his hands are in a trigger gun posed sort of hand, so you can do something like that, get both of those in there and act like, I mean, I really do dig that. I don't know, I haven't gotten any Marvel Legend figures that have had this before, but it's not to say that they haven't been used, so I don't know if these are reused parts from something else. I just think that that's pretty darn cool. So if he shot you, you can have that kind of thing going. I mean, I dig that. I really do. You also have holsters for both of the guns, so get out of his hand. That's just right here. It's a little bit hard to get to because obviously his cape, you just fold that thing up. It's a softer material, but it is a bit of a pain to get that in there. You really have to contort that all the way up to force those guns in there. And I mean, they kind of sit in there, but what's interesting is that they don't go down all that far. So so it kind of pushes out on this, which I don't know. I think that if I were to display him, which I'm not going to, I don't have any interest in this character. I'll sell it to whoever wants to buy it. Literally, I just wanted Nimrod. So if you're interested in this guy, send me a message at optobotomus@gmail.com. He's cool looking, though. One thing I'll say is that the paint does look fairly clean on him. I don't see a lot of really bad paint on him. There's a couple little bits right here. When you got a white figure like this, you really notice paint blemishes. So I don't really see a ton. The head sculpt, it looks really nice. The paint detail on the head, if I come in and get that, I think that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. That's solid, I suppose. I just, like I said, I don't have any knowledge of the character, attachment to him. It is just what it is. What's interesting is, like, he's primarily white with some black accents. She's primarily black with some white accents. So that's kind of cool. Articulation is pretty much standard. You got a ball joint. You have a hinge section. You have a pin hinge joint here for the shoulders, so you can hinge it out and then rotate it around. He does have a swivel at the bicep. He's got two bends here at the elbow, but really you're only going to be able to get about a 90-degree bend with both of those elbow joints, so it's not super awesome. He does have a wrist peg. Does that come out? And that's all. Oh, that actually. Oh, you know what's interesting is his is fairly unique. Instead of doing the back and forth like that, it does that side. So that's a nice one, so that you can have them hold a gun a little bit better. You get a little bit better range of motion for a gun with that, as opposed to the side to side. So that's a nice piece right there. No butterfly joint. He does have an ab crunch. Goes way far down. It doesn't really go back too much because it is blocked by the giant trench coat. Let's see. He rotate? He does have a waist rotation. Belt's right there. One thing that I don't like is this constantly keeps falling down. It's sculpted in a way that it perfectly goes around the boot, but it doesn't sit up there. So maybe glue that or something. I don't know. You probably could do that. Hips move forward and back, in and out. They rotate at the upper part of the thigh. You do have the two bends here at the knee. You have a boot cut. You have the forward and back, and then you have the hacky sack. So you can hacky sack. That's what I call it. That's the hacky sack joint, in case you guys are wondering. But overall, Fantomex, it's a good-looking figure. Don't get me wrong. I really like it. I think it looks cool. I think his accessories are really neat. I just don't have an attachment or an affinity to the character. So that's okay. Now, moving on to Psylocke. Okay. He fell for Psylocke. Did you see that? That was so sweet. He's got these weird ankles. There we go. And there we go. Now, Psylocke I know a little bit more about from X-Men. The only time I really was too much aware of her was during a time when she was dating Archangel. So I don't know too much. I know that they eventually broke up. She's a really powerful psychic. It's got the purple hair and everything. I really like the head sculpt. I'll get to that here in just a second. For her accessories, she comes with a pretty decent amount. She's got this psionic blade. I love the color of plastic that they used here. This is really nice. You got a really cool, just base, almost translucent purple right there. And then wrapped around it are these little energy effects. It's a little bit lighter of a pink. And then as it comes down to the tip, it gets a little bit more closer to the purple of the blade. I really like how they did that. That's sharp. You can see that the katana does have some texturing here for the handle, and then you got the little wrist guard right there as well. So this is gorgeous. I absolutely love the way that looks. She also does come with a energy knife, very much like the other one where you have a different color here. It's a little bit more pink, and then it becomes more purple towards the top. Now you can use this with her extra hand. It's just a fisted hand accessory, but you can plug this in here. You can see a little hole section there. You can kind of put that right through there, and you can plug that in. And now she's, oh, I'm going to throw it around. Now she's got her little energy dagger. All of these are created by her telepathic, telekinetic, all of her psychic abilities. So you can do that. but you can only do it on one hand because you only get the left hand for her. So you can plug that in nicely, and you can use that weapon thusly. So that's cool. I do like that. That incorporates really nicely. And then you do have the, let's get this, the other hand right here that has a gripping section. So you can just rotate that in, get that around, make sure I have the blade going the right way. So you can have her holding her other psionic weapon, which, again, absolutely love that. Now, most of the time, whenever she would use her psychic abilities, she got this weird effect around her head. And again, the same type of thing with the coloring. I love the coloring that they did with this. You got two little clips here on the back that you just literally will just put this right there. So whenever she's using her telekinetic abilities of sorts, she would seem to emanate this little butterfly thing from her head, which I don't think they ever really mentioned in the comics if that was seen by other people or if that was just a way to illustrate that for us. I don't know, but I think it's cool. I appreciate that little bit. Real fun accessories. Like I said, I love the colors on them, and because this just kind of like rests on the side, I don't feel it really damages any of the paint detail, which that's nice because the paint detail on her face is really very sharp. Coming in for a closer look there, let's get that going. I think that looks really nice. Hopefully it's just zooming in on Nimrod's crotch. Let me move him. That, I think, though, does look really very sharp. Nice detail. The paint on it is clean. I don't see really any blemishes anywhere. Love the variation with the hair color, too. You can see that there's a couple different purple colors in there, which really does look nice. I never got the Psylocke figure that came with, I want to say, the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure. I never got that. So that I like the color of that suit a little bit better. This one's not bad. It's not what I'm used to seeing her in, though. But more than likely, I will keep her because she's been in X-Men and all that kind of stuff. I'll put her with Archangel in my display. But overall, really nice. Like I said, as opposed to Fantomex, who is mostly white with some black accents, she's mostly black with some white. The white being right down here with her belt. You got a little sash thing right here. Got the nice X-Men logo. Some good skin tone colors here on her arms. You have that down here on her leg as well. Her outfit is a little bit more different than what I'm also used to seeing. But it looks good. I really do like the way that this figure turned out. Her articulation, you do have a ball joint and a hinge. But again, because of her hair, kind of limits some of the range of motion. So you're mostly just going to kind of keep it up. When you rotate it, kind of pushes her head down a little bit. So for me, I'm just going to kind of keep it like that. Shoulders are those pin hinge joints. You got a single joint here at the elbow and then the rotation at the elbow. You don't have a cut up at the upper part of the arm, which is perfectly fine. She does have a rotation, and then, like I said, she's got that forward and back sort of thing, as opposed to Fantomex, who has that. She does have an upper diaphragm joint, no waist rotation, but that's all that rotation stuff is right there at her upper diaphragm. Hips move forward and back, they move in and out. Rotates at the thigh, double joint here at the knee, ankles forward and back, but there's some really tough ratchet joints there. So like you have a joint right there, a notch right there, and then another notch right there, and then another notch right there. The problem though is you kind of, for mine, kind of have to put it a little bit in the middle to get her to stand. I mean, it works, but you just have to kind of get a little happy spot in between those ratchet points. You do have the forward and back, and then you have the hacky sack ankle. So there's that. Lots of really cool stuff. I do like her as a character a little bit more, obviously, than Fantomex. I know her, I should say. But her accessories are really top-notch as well. Now, we come to Nimrod. This is the one that I wanted out of this entire set. Nimrod is a Sentinel from the future. In the comics, I believe it was the Days of Future Past. The X-Men animated series had him coming from the Bishop timeline. Basically, he's like a T-1000 version of the Sentinels, where he's almost indestructible. You could blow him up, and then he would become a crap ton of pieces, and then he would just like merge back. So it was really very difficult to destroy. We also saw kind of a version of him in the movie Days of Future Past. Those Sentinels that were in there were kind of like him in the fact that he can essentially adapt to whatever mutant he is fighting. Not necessarily absorb their powers or anything like those Sentinels could. Basically, he would just adapt to learn how to defend himself from them. So if he gets blasted by, say, Cyclops' optic blasts, he would reassemble, and then he would, because of his massive like computer systems and stuff, he would learn how to protect himself from those blasts in the future. So he's very adaptive. But he's also extraordinarily strong, to the point where in the comics he was able to go fist to fist in battles with Juggernaut, which that says a lot about this guy. For his accessories, you do get some blast effects. Now, I watched Shartimus Prime's video, and I think he thought that at first that these might be just reused of Iron Man blast effects, but he said that they're not, so I'm going to go with that. These may be all new. And they're really cool as well. You can't, unfortunately, separate the blast effect around the main portion. That's attached right there, a little thin piece of plastic, but they are permanently attached. But I really like the way it looks. Again, great color on these. The translucent nature is absolutely beautiful. He also comes with this. Now, he's been modernized, which is going to come into play with the head sculpt. In a subsequent sort of series, I'm not sure, he got these little wing effects. I want to say that these are meant to help him fly. I don't know exactly, but you come around near the back, you got two little holes, and you can plug that in there. I don't necessarily know what that looks like. I mean, like I said, Nimrod was a character that I followed a longer time ago, so I don't know where these come from, but they're a little bit darker of a translucent color than this, but still looks really good. I love the way that that little butterfly look comes across. I also really like the detail on here. I wish that was a little bit more kind of painted so that you can see some of it, but it still looks really very, very good. These blast effects work with these hands. Now, the thing that kind of sucks with these, let me try and do this here. I wish that they put this on a little bit more of an angle or made it where his wrist could be a little bit better articulated, because as it is, when you get these in there, I mean, it's not bad, but I feel like he's not going to have his, or hold his arm up that high. I feel like it would be more of a straight kind of blast, something like that. So I wish it would be more in line with this, like where you could bend this at the wrist a little bit more, because otherwise it just looks like he's shooting the ground or shooting way up high. So I'm not exactly thrilled with how they incorporated that. So I wish they gave a little bit better articulation here with the wrist. If you don't want those wrists on there, you also do get some, pull that out, you get some extra fisted hands for him that you can plug in very nicely. That looks good as well. Rotate that around. You get, obviously, two of them. You get a right and left one. He's got little Ninja Turtle fingers, so that's cool. But then he also comes with this alternate head sculpt. And I don't remember which one is which. One is a more modern look, one is a more classic look. And because I haven't read the Days of Future Past comic in 100 years, I don't remember which is which. Both of them look really cool, but it's a bit of a pain to get it out. So you gotta really pull it apart like that. So it's a little bit more difficult. But both of them still look really good. From the back, there's not much of a difference. They have the same kind of detail. From the front, you can see that this one here just has this little pink highlight around it, and then a pink face, black mouth, white eyes. Whereas this one, I want to say that this one's a little bit more classic of a look. It just feels like it is. But there's still a similar look to it. I don't know which one I like more, honestly. I'm kind of leaning towards this, so I'm hoping that this is the classic look. For it either way, I think that these are both great. The problem with these is it does really limit his articulation. You can see that the body is like perfectly shaped for whatever head you put on there, so you can't rotate it. It's locked in there. It's not that big of a deal because he's a giant robot. So, and like I said, I like the T-1000, so he could probably turn and just He doesn't need to turn his head. But great detail on this guy. I love him. You probably could have done this as a Build-A-Figure, and I'm glad that they didn't. I mean, he's big by comparison, as you can see, to the other guys. I think that the scale here is fantastic, but like I said, you probably could have done him as a Build-A-Figure. But for me, this release here works a little bit better because this set was $80, so $20 for each of those. And then this one is a little bit more, maybe it's $35. I don't remember exactly what it is. It's an Amazon exclusive, and I'll put a link down in the description and everything. So I feel like it's worth it as opposed to forcing this into a wave of figures that we probably wouldn't want to get a bunch of them. I think that this worked out great. You can see it is all just like this white plastic, but it does have a nice shimmer to it. I don't want to say marbled. I mean, although there does look like there is some marbling in there, but I like the reflective nature of it. I think it looks really very good. Throughout the entire thing, you've got these little pinkish red accents. Back section here obviously is a little bit more thick, and then the front are just kind of like panel lines. And then you got this really nice pink translucent jewel here that when you get in there real close, there's some nice detail on the inside there. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that. I like the detail that they got inside there. That looks really cool. I dig it. Now, the part that kind of is unfortunate about it, his articulation is a little bit limited. Obviously, the head doesn't do anything. The shoulders here, I like how this is a separate piece so that you can move this up and down, and then that just kind of moves around, and then that whole thing is attached to the actual main section of the shoulder. So when you rotate it, that goes all the way around. There's no restriction there. That's really cool. Also rotates at the bicep, which is good. You do have ratchet joints here at the elbows. A little bit less than a 90-degree, but it's decent, I suppose. As I talked about, I do wish we got a little bit more range of motion in the wrists, just so you can really utilize those blast effects, but you do have the rotation and then the forward and back. The hit, or the waist here is weird. I feel like when you're doing it, you're stretching and pulling the plastic. There's a pull when I do it. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm doing it just to kind of illustrate that, but you can kind of hear, it's almost like it's too tight, and it's that one post in there is almost kind of, like I said, warping as you're doing it. So be careful when you're doing it. You get a little bit of wiggle waggle, not much. The hips here kind of suck as well. I mean, this is all a solid piece, so you're only going to move it about that far and then back about normal, and then it kind of goes out a little bit. This is a slightly softer plastic, so when you do it, you can kind of see it goes up there and it kind of warps it. So it is a little bit limited with the range of motion there. You also got the rotation. But again, he's a big giant robot, so I feel like I'm not going to want to put him in crazy poses or anything like that. So I'm okay with it, but I do wish it was a little bit better. You do have two bends here at the knee, which is nice, and then you come down to the ankles, and they're, because it's, I mean, it's a separate piece. You can see it moving, and you can move it forward and back. There's not much rotation or anything, but you can kind of get a wider pose. Well, actually, that's not bad by comparison. And then you got great detail on the bottom as well. So, and then this is a little bit, is this softer too? No, that's pretty rigid. So overall, I mean, this is the star of this set for me. Like I said, I've said it several times. This is the figure that I wanted out of this set. And I'm not entirely disappointed. Could they have done it as a Build-A-Figure? Yes. Could they have done it as an individual, like, deluxe release like they did recently with the Age of Apocalypse? Yeah, I think they could have. But I can't really complain when you're getting two other, Marvel Legend figures, like I said, about $20 a piece there, then another $30 for this guy. I'm okay with that. Ultimately, though, I really do like this set. Earlier, I did misspeak. It is an $80 set for the three of them. But when you do break it down, Marvel Legend figures in general are about $25. So for these two, it's $50. And then $30 for this guy, it's a fair price. Personally, though, I'm only really mostly interested in this, but that's just for me. I know a lot of people do know this character and do like him. I just don't, like I said, have any kind of knowledge or attachment to him, so he's kind of meh for me. I think it might be a little bit more difficult for people to buy if they don't like a particular character. For example, if I wasn't going to be doing a review on this, and if I really didn't want Nimrod, I wouldn't have bought this. Because $80 for just Nimrod is definitely more than I would be willing to pay. So you gotta look at it in terms of that context. Do you like this entire set in order to get the 3 figures? Or do you only want Fantomex? And if that's the case, then these ones are kind of a waste. So again, you're kind of wasting money. So why sets like these kind of put me off. But at least Nimrod is a character that we haven't gotten in I don't know, ever. It's going to come down to your personal preference and what you like, and of course how you want your display to look. So all of that being said, if this is a set that you would like to add to your collection, it is available right now on Amazon. So to make it really easy for you guys, I'll put a link right down in the video description where you can go to Amazon and you can check out availability on this set as well as the rest of the wide range of Marvel Legend figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. If you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you would do something really quick for me. And that's just to hit that thumbs up button. That one really small gesture really does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really very much appreciate it. Also, gotta send a huge shout out to all of my patrons and channel members. If you'd like to check out Patreon and help support my channel, you can do so right now at patreon.com/optibotamus. Or if you want to keep it simple and keep everything right here on YouTube, you can just click that little join button right down there. And finally, remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.